Hey, Jagged here. Before we get into the video, if you've liked my content, smash that sub button. And I also stream live on Twitch most nights, so check me out at twitch.tv/jacket. My links will be in the description. Let's get into the video. Alright, hey, Jagged here. Back again to talk about some things about Diablo 4. Why you might have not seen my druid content yet. Things like that. Basically, I wanted to take the time to make this video basically for you, players. I want to voice my opinion on some of the topics that I believe have pushed me away from Diablo 4. Some things that I have noticed throughout a couple of their updates to the campfire chat, and my thoughts on being either a top end player, doing some of the harder content, or just someone who puts a lot of hours in the game even. Someone who just tried to find some enjoyment in it, and for a while I was able to find like my own fun, and making these videos for you guys has been a lot of fun for me too. And so that's kind of kept me around. But we had a couple cool games come out, and I had my buddy that wanted me to try Path of Exile. He wanted me to do a blind, so I was doing a blind run of Path of Exile as well. So I will probably have some of that content coming out, but between the Path of Exile blind run and Remnant 2 coming out, I was a huge fan of Remnant 1. I loved playing that game. I loved the challenge that it offered, and I've been playing Remnant 2 quite a bit as well now too. So it's put a lot of delay on some of my Diablo content. Now, I am trying to have regular updates for you guys. You might have noticed that some of that stuff is not dropped off yet. But this is where this video comes in, and it's just to let you guys know what to expect. I've even reduced the number on my stream, twitch.tv/jacket, about how many times I might be streaming over there, because I am one person trying to make all this content, plus I have my other daily duties, so I want to try to keep up with everyone else that either does it full-time or just does a really good job of it, and I'm doing my best to try to keep up with that. But I also want to taper expectations that sometimes I might not be able to keep up, sometimes I have other obligations. So with that being said, I do appreciate that. We'll have this segment out for the intro in case you guys want to skip it. Go ahead and skip ahead through all of the we're going to segment this entire video out basically with the tags. I forgot what they're called, like video tags or something like that on YouTube. So one of the first things I want to start off with is I love the communication that the dev team has been giving us. But I need to set expectations for this entire video, and I need to set expectations for how I view things along the way here. I am able to utilize the information that they share to draw conclusions for my feelings, for how I feel. Right? Drawing conclusions and making assumptions, typically not usually a good thing, but for my feelings, I need to acknowledge with the information I'm giving that I can feel a certain way with that new information. The second thing, as a community, we all have varying different beauties and very different opinions, and not everything I say will be something that you will agree with. And the last thing, I will try to offer solutions if I have thought of one, but I'm simply a player. I have a little bit of knowledge into how game development works and how games are made. And by a little bit, I mean enough to get a really good understanding of the inner workings of things. But my solutions may not be foolproof, and I want to set that expectation. So I ask for you that any feedback that you have from myself or the Diablo devs you might want, you leave it down in the comments. I'll make sure I try to reply to as many of them as possible so we can have a discussion, hopefully like civil human beings. So the first topic, the overall feeling of being underdeveloped. Every patch that's released so far has an insane number of bug fixes to various aspects of the game. I can't list them all. That's how many there are in this video. It would be over an hour of me reading non-stop with perfect reading for all of them, and you would probably still run closer to like 2 hours. It just feels like it wasn't ready from these bug fixes alone. We've seen some major bug fixes for other games, but this one is like they fixed the entire game version 1. They fixed the entire game version 2. They fixed the entire game version 3. It's a lot, and I'm happy they're doing it, don't get me wrong. But you're putting your whole hand forward. You're showing everyone that the game physically was not ready to be out, and it definitely wasn't tested well enough to get all these bugs out. The next section in this underdeveloped section here, section twice. The end game barely exists. This is something that people can make their own fun with for sure, but it doesn't exist. You hit the level 70, and that's it. Like it's like the whole game is getting to level 70, and then what do you have to do? More nightmare dungeons or other gear that you have. This is something that I have thought a lot about. I got to level 100 before they buffed the XP in nightmare dungeons, like before it was hard, whatever you want to say. Like it, I did the slog, and I played the game as they had it intended initially. Now they made some great changes to the XP, but the end game is still not there. You get a feeling of accomplishment, battling your way to World Tier 4, but what's your reward for getting to World Tier 4? You do the same thing. There's no new events. There's no cool new things happening in the overworld. There's barely any more mobs in the overworld. There's no new dungeons. We'll get to the dungeons a lot later. I have some more specific things that I want to say about those. There's no new dungeon mechanics, and there's like one single boss battle, and basically that one just one-shots you regardless, of what your build is. So you might as well go try to do it at level 70 anyways. It's like the end game just doesn't exist. I would love to see the world tiers transform the world just a smidge. More mobs, different events open up. Maybe for season 1, like we're in right now, the malignant corruption is spreading at a rapid pace, and now we have a more urgency to do some of those tunnels. Make me feel like I'm in your game. Like it feels very bad when you get to level 70 and you'll see it. Reddit post, Twitter post, or X, whatever it's called now. Every single time you hear someone talking about the end game, you will hear people saying, man, what do I do after level 70, 75? And then you have two varying opinions of this. Yeah, I feel the same way, or you should just find your own way to have fun. They're both valid opinions, but still, regardless of which side of the fence you're on, you can acknowledge that the end game is just basically not there. So the glyph XP farming from Nightmare Dungeon seems to be the only way to really earn additional power, combined with like Paragon points. So it's like every time you get the sock on a glyph, you get some amount of power. It's just something I wanted to point out. I don't know if I actually have a problem with this or not, but it's just something. And the last thing is, speaking of that pinnacle boss, I do not enjoy the Uber Lilith fight. It may be controversial, but I'm not a fan of being one shot. It makes it very tedious to memorize the mechanics. I have a lot of very difficult things under my belt that I have accomplished, and I have never been a fan of being one shot when I have the appropriate gear for your content. It's not adding up to me, basically. It's not real life. I'm not here to be like, no, I'm done. That's it for me. See you later. If my character's geared for that content, I should be able to make a few mistakes in that content and continue the fight. Essentially, they have mechanics like that in the fight as well, which is also really aggravating. So it means they chose intentionally to kill you with these waves in one shot. As they have like this like rake attack that Lilith will do across the entire ground. And if you get hit by it, it'll do additive more damage. It'll start doing more and more damage to you. So eventually, that will also just one-shot you. Basically, my conclusion is, I can sit there for whatever time it takes to do it, but the main thing I need to be having is fun. And for this fight, I just don't find it fun. The one-shots come way too often. It's like you get her to the phase 1 transition 1, where then her main mechanic is firing these waves while not being able to take damage. And just like, I can't be asked. I can dodge it so many times, but then you just get hit because it's like 5 or 6 times in there that she's doing it. She's not even sitting there fighting you, so that's not fun. Like I have things like Mile High Club and Call of Duty 4 where like that challenge was basically, did you remember the spawns and have you built out a path where you can get there in 2 minutes? Like that was pretty much the only challenge there. That took a little while to do. But like think of any challenging boss from Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring where your build matters, You know, your build matters a lot. So if you fight like a magic resistant creature and you're using a magic build, that's going to be a challenging fight. So you need to get better at rolling. You need to get better at dodging some of their more challenging mechanics. But what they never do is have multiple uses of one-shot mechanics back to back to back to back to back. That's not a fun mechanic for anyone. Like literally anyone, because you could, if you're not on for 15 minutes straight, meaning that, oh no, I made a smidge of a second too late, or the latency is just a bit too high for your character to even see where the waves are, or if the programming is not perfectly spot on, if all the stars don't align, you're not doing it, and that's just not for me. Now, I might get a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're just bad, but you know, I did the 97. I have that on the channel. It's one of the best videos I have. I didn't even expect that video to be that popular, but I have hard content under my belt. This is all just a matter of, do I feel like doing it? Like, I could make another character and go and sit there and memorize it, and it'd be even easier if I do it on the Eternal Realm. But again, it's just not something that I want to do. But going back to the main point here is just, you know, you have these mechanics that are one-shotting you. It's basically her basic attack is one-shotting you. And then the phase 2 mechanics, you have these things where, you know, if you're not standing next to her, she one-shots you, then you have to move off the platform, otherwise that'll also kill you. It's like, you know, the number, and that is like a better idea of a one-shot, because she can only carve off so many pieces of the platform, and it's heavily telegraphed. You have a heavily telegraphed one-shot, because if you make that mistake of the one-shot, then you're done. Like, that's the point of the one-shot. That's the whole point there. But it feels like my character progression should be a factor in these fights, and I don't feel like it is. You know, they could just make it so that if you get hit by one of the waves, it adds up. You know, it starts off doing 33% of your health, and it does 66, and then it does, you know, it leaves you with 1 HP, and then if you get hit by a fourth one, well, you had 3 strikes, now you're out of here. So, I mean, you know, it's just not fun for me. I wanted to say it here in this video. I have my Uber Lilith thoughts in another video as well. I really encourage someone to go out there and attempt to do it with one of the ultra ethical minion builds. I really do. But it probably won't be me unless this game takes a major turn, which it might, and I hope it was. This is kind of the point of the video, where we can have these kind of discussions. How are you feeling about the Uber Lilith fight? Have you even attempted it? Do you even care about it at all? Let me know in the comments. On to more things that I know a lot of people will actually like to hear about. So, stash space being way too limited. Now, I just want to start off and say, you know, if you're having stash tab problems and you have every single gem you've ever picked up, you have every single elixir you ever picked up, maybe you should consider dropping the chip gems. Maybe, you know, if you're on the next tier and you have a steady supply of those next tier gems, probably don't need the older tier gems. It costs too much gold to like level them all up, plus be able to respec your character whenever you might need to make minor tweaks. So that would be my advice for that. It doesn't excuse that, you know, stash space is actually way too limited, but we can make some adjustments in our own behaviors. And then we can also say, hey, please give us a few more stash tabs. For the elixirs, you don't need all those resistance elixirs. You know, if you add up all of your elixirs and then multiply it by 30 minutes, you know, and then divide it by 60 to get how many hours of elixir time you have. Like, are you really using that many elixirs? You probably don't even know how many mats you have, because maybe you don't craft elixirs like I didn't do for a very long time. So, you know, just take a quick look over those two things to see if you clear up some extra space if you're running into like the maximum capacity. But loot's really important, right? We can all agree on that. Some space limit is good. It should have a little choice. I heard what Shroud said about it. I kind of agree with it a little bit, but you should have at least enough for each character. Like, let's be honest. Like, there should be at least, you know, 5 for each game mode. Probably like 1 more for like uniques and aspects. 1 more for like consumables and gems and random things like that. You know, I could even see like going up to like 10, but after you have 10, you're not a build crafter. They're lowering the gold cost by 40%. Like, you probably aren't going to change your build that often once you find one that you like for any given season. So hoarding all these powers that you're like, oh, but this could be good for this, or this could be good for this, or this is the max level one, I need to keep it. You don't need to keep it. You know, have a goal when you're keeping the items in your mind, and I think that that kind of gameplay is actually fun. But like I said, 4 is just not enough. We got 5 now. That's a thumbs up. But once we get to round 10, I can't hold the same opinion. At that point, I won't feel like it's too limited. So I will say that limited stash base has kept me from playing multiple characters in a season. So for Eternal Realm, I didn't want to play any more characters because I felt like I just didn't have enough to like fully theory craft. So yes, again, both sides of the fence. I agree with you. I hear everyone involved in this scenario, but if I had 10 stash tabs, I would not have had that problem. Let's see. Just going through some of my notes. I do have some notes here to help me assist with this video. Yeah, that's the same point. Yeah, I'm gonna play one character per season pretty much, and we'll get some videos out for that one individual character, how they're feeling. Going on to the gems. The gems feel very bland in their current state. It feels very similar to the Diablo 3 system. I feel like it's not explored or expanded on. It's very dynamic. You put your skulls in your jewelry in this season, the Malignant Hearts, which they had to add armor to. So you basically are putting skulls in your jewelry. Your armor is going to be rubies, or it depends on your build. A lot of people will say different things, but I think people are overvaluing fortified. Maybe with Temerity comes out with this whole new set and you have Temerity might be able to keep you fortified for a lot longer. But I personally think people are overvaluing fortified, so like you probably don't want to use sapphires. You don't realize the times you're not fortified, and then the second you're not fortified, you lose all the damage reduction. So to me, it's like basically you get extra life, or you put the topazes in for damage reduction while crowd controlled. That's pretty much it for jewelry. I hope we get good replacements in the future. That's all I can say about it. I don't actually have a great solution for this because, at the end of the day, this is such a minor part of the thing. It's just a little minor gripe that I've had these gems in other games. Why do I have like literally the same thing again? I don't understand. Make it interesting, please. Elixirs and Incense. You might not know this, but there are incense in the game that you can craft, and they work in an area around you, and then they also buff everyone while you guys are standing in that same area, so that's pretty cool. You basically can only use the armor one at the current state of the game. So until they change that, you're only using the 900 armor elixir, which you can only get from Helltide, and you're pretty much crafting the armor incense so that you can stack those together to get about 1,050 extra armor. So I have a note here that says, before the gameplay update, reducing the difficulty in high nightmare dungeons, even with these elixirs and incense, you'd still die in one shot. But it did provide like a prolonged version of like Frozen to a survivable point. Sometimes you'd even live through teleporter, which they also nerfed, so that's good. I do enjoy the variety in them, and they have some pretty good and interesting ones. And with the reduction in difficulty, hopefully we can start to choose some of these ones, like the lucky hit chance or the crit damage crit chance one. There are some really interesting ones that you can like actually utilize and improve your build to another level, to where you like, okay, you're doing all this, make sure you have the lucky chance elixir on as well. You get them from Helltide, make sure you're farming your Helltides, and that could add some interesting gameplay. But for right now, I'm having a hard time just not recommending armor. Like, just put more armor on, please. You'll live. I would remove all of the like specific resistance elixirs early game, and then make them all into like one all resist, because it's like, oh, you get armor, which is all physical damage, or you can be just cold or just fire or whatever, and it's like all resist. Like, just give me one elixir for all of the resistances, please. They all give 5% XP boost, which is nice. There's not one that doesn't give you it, except for the Elixir of Cheat Death. Ha, you thought you could get me, but you didn't. Do feel like there is Elixir bloat, but it's kind of cool because it's like you have some level 15 ones, you have some level 35 ones, so they have like this level requirement. But I still feel like they could be reduced significantly. I think the great start, like I said earlier, remove all the individual resists and put in an all resist one to match the armor. Uniques. Potential hot take incoming. I know. For me. Potential. I do not agree that uniques should not all be powerful. I know. I said it. Crucify me. if you have to. I don't think that's the case. I do believe that uniques should be replacements for existing builds or support, not build definition, but they should support build definition. You know, a legendary power is technically a unique, which means when you put that legendary power, like reanimation, on your weapon, your two-handed weapon, there is nothing else in the game that can give you 80% multiplicative skeleton damage. There is nothing else in the game that you can make Bone Spear do 120% more multiplicative damage. I truly believe, in my opinion, that it's the thinking that they should not be build enhancing support, like supporting the build definition or being full replacements for individual slots, makes them feel not unique. To give you an example, Bloodless Scream does literally nothing for any individual build. I would love to see a build utilizing Bloodless Scream that is not just like scraping by because you're missing all of your extra weapon damage, all your vulnerability damage, all your crit damage. And, you know, until they make those large gameplay changes, this is where we're at with these uniques. I don't wholeheartedly believe or agree with what the game devs are saying about this portion of the game. I'm not excited to see unique on the ground, pretty much ever. Like, pretty much ever. Does it say Ring of Men Down? I'm a little excited for that. Does that say Two-Handed Scythe? Another one. I guess it's 200k. Alright, cool. That's fine. We'll sell it for that gold. Well, with that being said, I will say that some uniques do feel like they add some flavors to spell, but I feel like it's lost in translation because they're not equal or better. Then I have this cool, now my fireball does a thing, but now I don't do any damage. It's like I can't have a cool, unique feeling about my ability when my abilities do no damage, and now I can't survive long enough to even see the ability doing damage. So, you know, it's a really tough spot to be in. I will also say that the existence of something is equivalent to something else having a big nerf to it. If I didn't have the option for the aspect of splintering aspect for Bone Sphere, and my only option was the Bloodless Scream, maybe the Bloodless Scream would be better. Probably not the best scenario for it, but you get what I'm trying to say. I'm never going to pick your unique item over my 120% multiplicative damage to my core skill that's hitting for like 6 million still. It's just not going to happen. I want my skill to hit for 6 million. I don't want my essence to come back in a way that's already being solved by another legendary power that's also not a unique. It's like it doesn't make any sense. So, that being said, we have a few more things we want to talk about. In my opinion, we would need a upgraded version of existing legendary powers if it's in an offensive slot, or it needs to be extremely build defining, as in supports that build definition. Because I already know that people have been complaining about things like Tempest Roar that is literally build defining, and if you do not have Tempest Roar, you do not have that build. You do not have the Werewolf Tornado build. And so if we can bring that back down just a little bit and have it support extra builds, that would be great. And maybe turn some of these other things into utility legendary powers, that'd be awesome. But, you know, whatever you feel, I do believe this is a tough one to solve. You're trying to throw a rarity into the game at the high end when all of these other powers are already all so good. It's like, why are you not just, why are they not at the same level? What's unique about them? Like your fireball does 100% more multiplicative damage, but now casts 3. Like that would be like a unique. And then the base power for the regular legend power it is, your fireball does 110% more damage at max. So like you sacrifice a little damage, but you get 3 more fireballs, and it's like that's what I mean by unique. Make me feel unique for the item itself, but like you're replacing an entire slot, and that slot has to be used by something already in a build, and what you're offering me offers nothing for what I want to build to. And so that's my take on uniques. It's a very difficult thing to do. I do not envy the devs what they're trying to do. This is a tough one to solve. If you have some interesting thoughts, just go ahead and write down in the comments below. Go ahead and add them there. Very brief on the legendary powers. I like the spread that we have. Some core spells got left out completely. I would love to see some powers added in to encompass most spells in the game. I cannot believe that some core spells literally lost out on some insane amount of multiplicative damage from some of these powers, and I feel like utility, defensive, and mobility powers are very limited. Hopefully we see more of them. Don't have a lot to say about these. There are some things that need hella buffs, and there are some things that need literally a legendary power for them. Hopefully we can get that. I wrote a lot about rares in the game, and by rares I mean elite mobs. The elite mobs, like the suppressor affix, are very annoying. They negate all range damage outside of the bubble, making you stand inside of it. There's an equivalent thing like Fire Enchanted for melee, where like, okay, I'm melee, I don't want to stand inside the mob. So now I have to like play in and out. So both ranged and melee have this like variation of annoyance to deal with. I don't know how to solve the suppressor thing, but I hope that they figure something out with it. But I can take like slowing projectiles, but negating all damage while outside is kind of annoying. Like especially when I'm playing minions, I can't tell the mages to go inside the bubble. It's really weird. Fire Enchanted is too strong, which they already made it nerf for minions. That was my only complaint about it, so that's a thumbs up. Good job. See? Not all negative. It can easily one-shot melee characters at high levels. This could be a problem. I don't know. You gotta build more armor. You truly do. And if you're still getting one-shot with more armor, then I don't think after the Nightmare Dungeon nerfs that's going to be a problem. But if it is, definitely let me know as well. Gold Enchanted is permanent CC. This has also been addressed. I wrote some of this a little bit ago, so we are just going through the notes as they are. I believe it was fixed, and now that World Tier 4 is no longer insta-gibbing you, you're not being frozen on top of frozen on top of frozen on top of frozen. It's great. Fantastic change. Frozen, on the other hand, speaking of frozen, does not place your AoE zone immediately. It's a spinning rock that comes up that is unable to be seen for a lot of places. Then after a few seconds, which is enough time to actually kill you if you're playing at a high enough difficulty, then it shows the border, then goes off. But you're able to take damage before you're able to see all the full effect. This is something that needs to be fixed. It is not very enticing to be dying to something that you are not aware of, just like Asmongold might have said, dying off screen is not a fun mechanic. Put some skill into the game for me, please. Move the distance in a little bit. Show me the rock on the ground. Allow me to play the game, please. Electrified Obelisk, Waller, and Chilling Winds all have a problem with their logic, where they are putting on right on top of you in certain scenarios, depending on how close you are in close quarters. The Electrified Obelisk can trap you in place and instantly kill you. The Waller can also trap you in place, making it so you're unable to move. And the Chilling Winds can instantly freeze you by all dropping on top of you, which, my god, could it just not be like Wind Wall, and then the Wind Wall is what... Can we get like Wind Wall and Suppressor reversed? Like, can Wind Wall block my damage, but it's only up temporarily, and Suppressor like slow missiles? Like, that would be such a better change than anything else. Teleporter. I believe this got fixed. I hope it's not killing you in one shot after all the damage nerfs and the nerf to it directly, but you know, you used to get off screen, it teleports on you, and if you don't have enough DR for the content, you're dead. Like, it's not even a choice for you. Like, it sees you, but you don't see it. Psh, goodbye. See you later. I hope it's like we'll see when 1.1.1.1.1.1.1 when that one gets released. We'll see about that. Moving on to the Paragon Board. We're gonna speed up a little bit here. I don't want it to be too long of a video. Paragon Board. Why are the blue magic nodes, not like 7 and 8? Why am I getting plus 14 when you damn well know I wanted one more point? I'm like going like this, by the way. When you damn well know that I wanted one more point so that I can get that extra juicy multiplier on one of my things. What is going on here? Why is it 7 and 7? Is it coded so that when I take both of those, it's supposed to round up and it's not rounding up? This is so infuriating. Just make 1 7 and 1 8. Solve everyone's problem with this. This probably affects literally 0 people, and I'm still complaining about it because when I click on things like this, it's so annoying to see 49, 54. It's like, how do I get one more strength on the Paragon board? How do I do it? Someone tell me, please. Someone tell me how to get one more strength on the Paragon board. No, it's infuriating. I know this is probably just a me thing, but please do something about it. Respecting the Paragon board is tedious. This is a community sentiment. I don't really care. You just click the nodes off. You change what you need to change. It's not. I spend so much time clicking the Paragon nodes. It's not even funny. But I do agree that it is annoying. Please make it so that we can at least right-click off a board, and then that board comes off, and then you can use that same logic to dismantle all the other boards, calculate the amount of points, and give us back those points. I don't think this is asking too much. Have a dedicated team on it. If you have built it in any other way where it's not calculating like that, that is not on us for that punishment. Please do something about that respecking. Speaking of respecking, the cost going down by 40%, thank you so much. I do not care what any hardcore player says, not hardcore, but like active gamer says, where it's not that big of a deal to go out of your way for an hour so that you can respec your character. This is not fun. In a game where trying things out and playing the game is all intertwined in your gameplay, it is not fun to go spend an hour on a build that I already wanted to change off of just to be able to afford changing into another build that may or may not work. So really, it's not 1 hour, it's 2 hours, because I have to make sure I'm able to switch back. I don't know why this is fun for you. So if they could do it by 80%, I'm there for that. Like 40 is a great start. We'll see how it feels. Reduce it by more, please. I do think some of the tooltips are missing, like the X multiplier or the plus additive modifiers on them. It seems like they're plus by default. If they don't specify multiplicative, then they are automatically plus. And I think that can be very confusing because you get a face value of 5% more minion damage, but if you have like a bucket that's 15,000%, and you get a 5% additive into that bucket, congratulations, you just increase your damage by 0.33%. Not 33%. We're talking 0.33. That's less than 1%. That's 1/3 of 1%. So overall, I think the Paragon boards are... it's a game mechanic. It could probably be done better, but some builds come online earlier. Some are like leveling builds that come online later, and then once you hit level 70, you have to respec, so you're taking off those points that you had to reach the important node. But now you have enough points so you can reach the actual build and then the important node that you already had. So it's like, it's a game mechanic. We'll work on it. We'll work with it. What we got? Nightmare Dungeons. Dun dun dun. We have 2 more points, by the way. Nightmare Dungeons and Dungeons plus Renown. For Nightmare Dungeons, why is my difficulty random? I can't do a tier 100. It needs to be luck. It literally has to land. Roll the dice. Luck of the draw. Oh, I got a 100. Are those affixes good? Well, I can't say I did 100 now, can I? Shucks. Why is it random? Let me craft them. Have them in tiers. Just open them up and let me make one. The one that I want. For level, right? I have a whole thing about the whole... We're about to get into the whole affixes, but just for level. I'm only asking for a whole ton. Just for level. Let me craft the one I want. And while I'm talking about crafting, because it's not on my notes, I know I forgot it. What happened to sigil powder? What happened to it? You can't get it anywhere except for deleting sigils, which is, it's it is what it is. Sometimes you have more than too many. They don't drop from the Tree of Whispers anymore. The only source of sigil powder that I've been able to find, you're going to laugh at this, is completing the random event in a Nightmare Dungeon. I know, crazy, right? Think about it. Where do you get sigil powder? Who knows? It's a mystery. Dun dun dun. But no, on a serious note, please, can we get some sigil powder back to the game? That would be fantastic. Okay. Another hot take. Please brace yourself. It seems to me like they grabbed the WoW Mythic Plus designer team and pulled them over to the Nightmare Dungeon team. I hate Mythic Plus with a passion, and I've done many plus 20s. I've done them. I have a few portals on my character. I do plenty of 17 to 19s. I have not played the new WoW season. I played Dragonflight. I played Mythic Plus in other areas. Tank, healing, DPS, the whole nine. I've done them all. It's not for me. Put it that way. I don't like it. We're going to go into some of those details now. You know, your mobs have abilities. The environment has abilities that can be dangerous. The layout of the dungeon matters. It's basically like a modifier if it's closed quarters or open areas. And you now have elites that all have random affixes that are already part of the dungeon content themselves. Why are you going through the necessary trouble to program literally more things to add into this content that is already scaling up in damage, which is already supposed to be a challenge, and then you're adding in all these random bullshit, like literally just random bullshit go. I never understood it. People love this in WoW. I'm the minority here, I get that. People probably don't have a problem with this in Diablo 4, but I do. I don't want random bullshit go thrown at me. I want to be able to do the content you are providing for me. The elites are already going to be random unless otherwise specified. What are we doing here? Let's check my notes real quick. So, my point, after saying all that, is that there are already so many things trying to kill me. Then the difficulty goes up, and like I said, now you're adding that random bullshit. Multiple negative random affixes, none of which benefit me in any way possible. Some of these affixes skew the difficulty all the way up to, this is literally unplayable for my build, we'll go up here, all the way down to where I'm pretty sure everyone's at, I'll just do these ones, because these make it so I don't have to interact with the system at all. And when you have these kind of like widely varying things, as a developer, you might think, oh, that's good. You know, I like that scale, and it's all random. That's really cool. Everyone's experience will be different. Not if we all just delete our sigils doing this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're already deleting some affixes. Just get rid of all of them. And then on top of the affixes, like, where's the positive modifiers? Like, what the frick are these positive modifiers? Oh my gosh, more gold? Thank you so much, Blizzard. Now that I can get more gold, the monsters that are literally killing me in one shot or I can't do damage to them are much easier to deal with. I just, you know, I don't think there's a single meaningful combat positive modifier. I don't think this even qualifies as a Kiss Curse mechanic. And, you know, the overall system, just overhaul it. Remove the M+ team from this design, please. I don't need it. I don't know why it's there. And now, the final topic, Dungeons and Renown. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear your thoughts about what is happening in your experience with Diablo 4. Again, just a reminder, I know it's been a lot of negative. We had a few positive things. They've been fixing a lot of things. This is not all negative, and I want to make sure you guys understand that. I make this video so that we can all have a healthy discussion. We can voice our opinions and concerns, and I can help better push that along to anyone that I might be able to talk to. So, getting back on topic here, Dungeons and Renown. Woo! Hot topic. What else are you going to do if you're not doing the Renown grind, Jacket? Well, let me tell you what I would be doing. Literally anything I want to do. The Renown grind. It's literally in the game. 100% it exists. You and I can agree on that. So I've done it like 4 or 5 times. 4 times probably, because it's like 4.5 because I'm doing a playthrough on Necromancer of the game, and I went and grabbed all the Altars of Lilith, but now they made that impossible, so we'll say 4.5. But 2 for standard and hardcore on Eternal, and 2 for the same thing in Season 1. I cannot express to you the level of boredom in which this process is. I'm happy we got the map, and I'm happy we got the Altars of Lilith. I am not complaining about that. I do not want to backtrack on this. I even told my friends that all I wanted was the map. I was wrong. I was wrong in those feelings. I got a taste of exactly what I asked for, and let me tell you, I fully believe its entire process is now no compromise for me. I don't want to do it. Don't want to play Renown anymore. I don't want to go through all your dungeons because it's literally turned into you have the map, you have the Altars of Lilith, and everyone was like, oh, I gotta do that, that's bad. Man, there are a lot of dungeons in this game, and you can't teleport to them, and you can't teleport around because you have to get the teleporters as well. So, it takes forever. You know, the best way overall is doing like dungeons that have the Tree of Whispers on it. But even then it feels terrible. But that brings me to my next topic, essentially. The game claims to have 115 dungeons in it. There are not 115 dungeons in this game. There's like, you know, a few variations between 7 and 10 objectives that exist. It's like kill all enemies, destroy a construct, or, you know, activate the gate control, then kill the animus carriers, then put the animus thing in the door so that you can open up the boss, and then the boss fights. But not every dungeon has a boss as well, so it's a little jarring when you get like 3 dungeons that have bosses, and you're like, man, that was a complete experience. And then you get one where you kill a construct, and it's like, you did it! So, they're just not interesting to do. The objectives are uninteresting. You know, I find myself, you know, missing. This is so hard to say. Regular rifts from Diablo 3. I would rather do a regular rift at Diablo 3 because it keeps me moving and it keeps me killing. Keeps me engaged with how I'm playing the game constantly. This is an ARPG. This is not a side quest where I need to save Fred's family that have been taken control by spiders, and I'm rescuing them, and we find out little Timmy has now passed away through spider poisoning, and everyone's sad, so then I have to go kill the big mother spider and clear out the infestation. Which then, you know, you bring back to their father because he was the only one that didn't make it out, but he's terrified of spiders, and you talk to him, and then he gives you a funny spider reward. Wow, look at that. I made an interesting dungeon in like 3 seconds. I want to be moving and killing. I want to be moving, fighting mobs, and just going through the dungeon, and then fighting a big boss at the end. Like, I genuinely liked that experience. That's why I played Diablo 3. But regular rifts, man. I'm missing regular rifts. And I might go back and play some Diablo 3 because I got some unfinished business. That last season was a banger. But yeah, keep me moving, keep me fighting. Every single time I miss a small portion of the map that I didn't notice, and I'm like, oh, I'm in a fork in a road. I'll go this way, but this is like literally like a couple steps here, and then an objective here. I have now killed the entire dungeon, which is bigger than most like quarter of size of a map in the open world. You run back through, you kill like 2 mobs, do the objective, and then you have to walk through the entire dungeon without any mobs. The backtracking is insane. It's not fun. You know, I don't want to walk through a dungeon with no monsters after I've just killed them all. You know, you could chalk it up to my mistake, but overall, if I didn't have to go back and click the thing, the whole problem could be avoided. I don't have a solution here, unfortunately, for this one. I don't really know what I want out of dungeons, other than what I said, just keep me moving, keep me killing. But what I can say, you know, their current state of the Renown grind is basically the dungeon grind, and the dungeons are miserable. I hope that you guys all have some interesting takes on dungeons. Maybe we can collectively come up with some cool ideas and send them off. That would be amazing. But I don't know what to do with them. But good news is that wraps up the entire rest of this video. So if you've enjoyed yourself, if you agree with any of my points, I would love to hear it down in the comments. If you did not like any of my points, keep it to yourself. No, just kidding. Also put them down in the comments. I would love to have a discussion about all the things we talked about here today. If I left some things out, let me know as well. And make sure that you are following the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button if it's something that you like. Dislike the shit out of it if you thought I had some crazy hot takes. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.